If not, I will. Okay, Nick, I'll come to you. Thank you.
Nick, you can go first. That's fine.
Yes, sorry. Afternoon, Dan. Congratulations on the appointment, being Wales's 140th captain. Now that we're almost on the match, what's it all mean to you?
I'll be honest with you, Nick. It's been very, very, I suppose, familiar really for me. It hasn't, not a lot has changed in terms of speaking in huddles, in meetings, in training. It's been very much business as usual. The lads have been brilliant in terms of taking ownership and stepping up and taking a little bit off my shoulders. So it's been very much business as usual in terms of trying to run the team from my position, as opposed to worrying too much about the captaincy. But obviously it'll be a proud day tomorrow leading the boys out. But I'm very focused on making sure that my performance is up there, rather than thinking perhaps too much about the captaincy role.
What is the difference then between being a vocal member of the team, as you've always been, and being its leader?
I think just picking the right times to speak, really, in terms of knowing what to say and when to say it. I think timing is crucial, really. You don't want to be the only voice that gets heard in team meetings or training or huddles and bits and pieces. So it's just picking moments when to maybe fire up a little bit and when to just bite your tongue a little bit as well. So that's what I've learned from all the great captains I've played under. So that's what I've just tried to take on board this week, not let it change my approach to a big test match anyway. And just, like I said, rely on some of the other lads to just pipe in and chip in every now and again.
What about your interactions with the referee? How are you going to approach that?
However it comes across, I don't know. I've been asked this a million times this week. I've answered it a million different ways. I don't know what people want me to say, really. It's a challenge, but it's one that I think having the ability to be able to speak to the referees will help, and I'm hoping that it'll. There's obviously a role that comes with being captain, so it's about making sure again, don't worry too much about it, but aware that there's a responsibility with it as well.
Well, good luck with that. Obviously, you're one of the remaining senior players in the group. A lot's been said and written about the absence of a number of Lions, but do you think you've managed to get over that already, because most of them are missing for the autumn series as well?
I think so, yeah. There's no doubt that we're missing a lot of key men who've got serious amount of caps and quality around the pitch. But like we said, in the autumn, we found a couple of gems in terms of, certainly Tame Basham was a find of the autumn, really, wasn't he, in terms of how well he played and gets his opportunity to play tomorrow. So the bottom line is we've known that we're going to be without these boys for quite a while now, and we've had 2 weeks of prepping with the group we've got. So we've prepared really well. We're going there tomorrow to really try and get on the front foot and take the game to Ireland, as opposed to perhaps with some less experienced lads in the group be overawed and intimidated by what is an incredibly strong looking Irish side. But we've got to make sure that we've got to have a little bit about us and go on the front foot and try and take the game to Ireland.
Obviously, Wales are defending champions in this tournament, but in the pre-tournament predictions, a lot of people are writing your chances off. How do you react to that?
Yeah, as I've said all week, Nick, we always start as fourth or fifth favourites every year. We come into the Six Nations behind the big three, and I think Scotland are ahead of us in the bookies this week. So it's been the same for the last 10 years, but I think people forget as well, it's the last 10 years, we've been the most successful team in it, winning it 4 times, Ireland and England winning it 3 times. So, we always see, it's no issue for us. It's no different, absolutely no different for us coming into the tournament as underdogs. And, whether we've won it the year before or whether we've got a full strength team, half team missing, whatever it is, it's always the same. So we're just looking forward to the challenge of going out there and trying to get into a real arm wrestle with Ireland tomorrow, because that's what it is when you play Ireland. You're in an arm wrestle. You've got to match them physically, and if you don't do that, then you're in a bit of trouble.
And the weather forecast isn't great. A bit of rain and wind supposed to be around, he'll be putting in a few of those trademark up and unders of yours.
Yeah, well, again, I think, again, another big part of the game when you play Ireland is the kicking game and controlling territory, because they've got, some of the best players in the world at doing that. So, the conditions will obviously be a factor with it being quite wet and windy by the looks of it. But again, it gives us an opportunity to get on the front foot, show that we can get on top defensively and match them physically. Because, like I said, even with those conditions are going to play into who controls the territory, who controls sort of long phases of play for large periods, which is going to be so crucial tomorrow.
Thanks, Dan. Good luck.
Cheers, Dan.
Simon?
Hi, Dan. Simon here, mate. Hi, mate. You've heard countless captains' team talks over the years, lots of different ways of doing it, I'm sure. Have you given much thought yet to what your first one as Wales captain is going to be like, and whether there are key points you want to get? Are we going to have a Churchill-like address from you?
Yeah, I don't think so, Simon. No, I'd be very surprised if that came out tomorrow afternoon about 2:00. But I think what I want to try and do in my approach is try and give off the confidence and I suppose the belief in myself. I want it to try and rub off on my team as well, if that makes sense. I want to make sure that the lads who perhaps are playing in their first Six Nations, or starting their first games, or haven't had as much experience, I want them to believe that they're good enough, and that we're not just rocking up tomorrow to soak up everything Ireland have got. I want us to go there on the front foot, and I suppose that'll be the main aspects of my team doc, is belief and scrapping for everything, really. And I hope that'll come through in the performance, because we're going to need to have plenty of that tomorrow.
It's a very attack-minded side. Two open sides, Josh at 13, plethora of strike runners out wide. How is that coming together in training? Because obviously it's very new for Josh. No one questions his ability, but it's a different kind of position. So how is that kind of melding together in training?
Yeah, Josh has been great, actually, in terms of how he's adapted. He's, first and foremost, he's a brilliant athlete. So I think even though he's moving slightly one position in, he's slotted in really well, actually. And he's certainly one thing Josh isn't short of is confidence and belief in himself. So that's a great starting point for us. And we're going to look to try and get him on the ball as much as we can. Obviously, with the conditions, it may be a little bit more limited in terms of how bad it is tomorrow afternoon. But the bottom line for us is, like I said earlier, Simon, we want to make sure we take the game to Ireland, and that means getting our most potent runners in the game, and people like Josh and Liam and Louis and boys like that involved as much as we can is going to be key for us. And with the 2 sevens, it's we're obviously going to have to be good in that contact area, and if we can nick some ball in that area, then that gives us a good chance as well. So it's we're definitely going there with a let's go at Ireland as opposed to soaking it up. But like I said, it's the biggest thing against Ireland, Simon, is if you don't win the physicality battle, then it's going to be a really difficult afternoon. So that's been a huge focus for us all week, with whatever number you've got on your back.
Cheers, Dan. Enjoy the day tomorrow. All the best.
Thank you, Sam.
Alex?
Hi, Dan. Alex here. You all right?
Yeah, good. Thanks, mate. You all right?
Yeah, fine. Bit of a curveball. Tell me about Usain Bolt on Monday. And the Bobby Cup.
Oh, the Bobby Cup, yeah. So he presented, or every Bobby Cup, whenever we win 2 games in a row, Paul Stridgen, our S&C coach, does a bit of a funny video and taking the mick out of the lads, and presents it to the player of the match the week before. So and always every Bobby Cup that's presented, it always gets a celebrity to announce the winner of the Bobby Cup is. So we had Usain Bolt on Monday night, which was a bit of a thrill for the lads. I did a pre-recorded message for St. Basham was the winner of it. So I think he's had a good week anyway. He's had a good confidence building week. So hopefully he can carry that on Saturday afternoon.
That must have gone down well with the lads then.
Yeah, the Bobby Cup, basically one of the reasons why I'm still playing international rugby. That's like a pinnacle of your rugby career, winning the Bobby Cup and seeing that on a Monday night is brilliant. So the lads are in really good spirits, and I think it's been a nice sort of bit of distraction, because it's such a build up. It's a huge build up to the week with training, media, the hype around the tournament. So it's been really nice to have a couple couple of distractions like that around the place.
And especially because you're in the bubble as well, you know, might be a bit more difficult to get away from the rugby side of things. How important are those little like moments of fun, I guess? Yeah,
huge. And that's, you know, we're lucky in terms of the squad we've got. I know we've got some younger guys and some slightly newer guys, but the majority of the squad have been together for so long. So it's a really good group, so we can get away and switch off and take the mick out of each other quite comfortably and things. So it's been really good, actually, considering we've, you know, I think everyone's getting a little bit fed up with being in a bubble and not being allowed to go home on a Tuesday evening after training. But we've really made the most of our time together in terms of, there's been a lot of coffee drunk on days off and bits and pieces and taking the mick out of certain boys. But we're in good spirits going into tomorrow. There's no doubt about that.
And you mentioned the younger lads earlier, like Tane and that lot. Do you really sense a sort of no fear attitude and approach from them going into this game?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, because I think sometimes when you're thrown into the, not thrown in, but when you're stepping into the unknown and you're not quite sure what to expect or what the consequences are, and you know, that no fear, it sometimes stands you in really good stead, as opposed to perhaps boys who know what's coming. And sometimes you can, you know, even some of the senior boys get a bit more anxious and nervous, whereas these young lads have got nothing to fear. They've got, you know, into their first sort of real Six Nations campaigns, and I think that's great for us and keeps sort of senior boys like myself really, really young and hungry as well. So yeah, no, it's massive for those boys, and I'm sure that the excitement and the no fear that they have in them will rub off on us tomorrow.
And just lastly for me, starting every game well is very important, but is it especially important in Dublin?
100%. We spoke about that in our final session today. We just said for us to probably come on the right side of the results, or certainly to make it a little bit easier for ourselves, we've got to make sure we start well, ruffle a few feathers early doors, you know, stop the crowd getting onside and giving them a big start. And yeah, like I said, every game is important to start well, but I think definitely the tournament, you know, away from home, we need to make sure we're absolutely clear in terms of making sure our basics are really good, nothing sort of suicidal, and make sure that we're really smart and start the game really well.
Thanks. Good luck as captain.
Cheers, Alex.
Murray, then come to you finally.
Thank you. Hey, Dan, congrats on the appointment. A bit of a surprise on this side of the water with Mac Hanson being named on the left wing. What have you guys made of that selection, and how can you, I suppose, introduce him to Test rugby in the best way possible?
Yeah, if we're honest, probably a little bit of a surprise for us as well. We probably weren't expecting it, but I think his form has been excellent this year in terms of he's a really good distributor of the ball as well. He's not just, you know, an up and down winger. He's got really good hands, brings people into play, and will go rooking for the ball a lot. So he's certainly not just a finisher or a sort of a threat out there. He's going to get himself involved in the game, get lots of touches, and be an extra ball player as well. So we're fully aware of the threat that he brings. But yeah, like we've mentioned, the weather is going to play a huge part tomorrow, isn't it? If it's chucking it down and really swirly, then obviously both teams' kicking game is going to come into play and going to be really crucial. So you know, it's exciting. It's great for us to be able to go out and test ourselves against probably the form team in the Northern Hemisphere at the minute in terms of the autumn that they've had. So yeah, really looking forward to it and really excited to, like I said, go try and get on the front foot as well, Murray, if I'm honest, because we've got huge amounts of respect for Ireland and how well they're playing and how good their form is club-wise and internationally. But, you know, we don't want to just go there tomorrow and just stand off and sort of be intimidated. We want to go out there and really get stuck in from word go.
Yeah. And lastly, I just wanted to ask you about Wayne and what he's like in these kind of weeks, because obviously people in this neck of the woods still kind of associate Gats and talk about Gats, even though he's been gone a while now. What's Wayne like in this kind of week?
Wayne's biggest strength for me is actually he manages to keep things really quite sort of, when we're away from rugby, quite low key in terms of keeps the environment quite relaxed, keeps it really quite sort of calm. And that's sometimes a really difficult skill to have when you're around a team room, especially when you're in a bubble, as we have been. It's sometimes you can get dragged into looking at rugby 24/7. But I think what Wayne's done is really sort of produced a really good environment, and especially in big weeks as this is, just kept boys quite relaxed off the field, enjoying each other's company. And then when we flick the switch and get into training, it's very much business as usual. So I think that's he's been brilliant this week in terms of just, and he has been over the last year actually, in terms of not getting too down on perhaps defeats or when we haven't played well or haven't got results, and not getting carried away when we've done well as well.
Brilliant. Thank you. Enjoy the weekend.
Thank you, Mary. All the best.
Thanks all. So that concludes the session.